Did you have any idea what it was going to look like or what the concept was?
No idea. They did a pretty good job keeping it under wraps and not really letting us in here, letting us see what was going to happen. So I think that was all part of the surprise, though, that they wanted us to, all walk in together and see it for the first time. But I mean, it's beautiful.
Did you get to pick your locker location?
No, we didn't get to pick our locker location, but they did a good job keeping, me and Isaiah right next to each other, kind of keeping us in the same area. But no, we did not.
Does that stuff matter? I mean, Malik's near you, but the defensive player between you, special teams guys over here. Does that matter to kind of intermix the guys in the locker room?
Definitely. I think they've always done a good job of trying to intermingle guys, and especially offense and defense. We do so much where you're in meetings with offense and guys and defense is separate, so you don't get all that time to be together. So I think being in the locker room, being able to intermingle is always huge. I think me and Zay being together, been together since he got here, so I think that was really important for us, and I'm glad we're still together.
Jordan, what are your thoughts on Zack Toms' extension and just kind of maintaining that continuity in the O-line?
It's awesome. I'm very happy for him. I think he's very deserving of that. I think he's been a guy he's balled out since he's got here. Really came in, made a name for himself at that right tackle position, and like I said, just balled. So he's a guy that he's very humble, keeps his head down, just comes in ready to work, always about the right stuff. So I think no one more deserving. So I'm happy for him.
You'll have a new center this season. I was wondering, how much time do you need with Elton this training camp or this preseason to feel comfortable with him for the start of the season?
Yeah, that's one of those things where that center quarterback exchange, you got to get a lot of reps in, a lot of work with guys, especially when it's somebody new. But Elton's been a guy who's been around. We've got a lot of reps with him at center with different things that have happened and moving around and just getting snaps in general. So once he gets back from injury, it'll be great to have him back out there, because it's one of those things you want to be feeling as comfortable as possible and get as many banked reps in with our relationship, make sure there's no issues with snaps, no balls on the ground, things like that. So definitely be nice to get him back out there.
Jordan, when it was Josh at center, how much time do you feel like it took for you guys to kind of get on that same level with each other?
Not long at all. I think me and Josh got a lot of reps when he first got here, and then once he started taking over and getting that starting role, it was one of those things where even when A-Rod was here and he was injured during some times, I would get a lot of reps with Josh at practice. So I think Josh was just had a real good feel for playing the position, how to snap the ball, and it just felt comfortable with him. So I don't think it was hard at all with Josh. It was one of those things that just flowed. But it's one of those things that every time it's somebody different, the ball just kind of comes back different ways, especially shotgun snaps. So it's one of those things that we practice it every day with the quarterback center exchange and getting snaps with a bunch of different guys, anybody that you might be in there with in practice, because practice they roll through and a lot of guys rotate in. So you just want to have a nice feel for what it feels like for different guys, make sure the consistency is there. So like I said, Josh was a pro. It was easy when he was in there.
A lot of us circled day one of training camp. It's a big day. It's a milepost for us. You guys have been here. You've been here the last few days. How do you guys take day one of training camp?
Oh, it's still a big day, especially for the guys that have been here that reported early, which we had a lot of guys who reported early this year. But I think day one is still, everybody gets back, and first couple days back in the building, that excitement and all that energy is there. Everybody's, we ain't been on the field together for about a month, so it's just exciting. You get the fans out there, obviously you guys all out there, so there's just a lot of energy and excitement, I feel like, for day one. So it's fun to go out there, kind of get those little nerves out, just get back to ball and have that mindset where the goals we're focusing on. To get better every day, but you get the bike tradition going. It's just a lot of things that we miss out on at OTAs that aren't the same. So it's a lot of excitement for day one.
Jordan, Goody was talking to us earlier about how this team's had a lot of regular season success over the last 6 or 7 years, but that it might be time to take the next step. What has to happen for you guys to do that? I know Matt talked about you can't skip any steps along the way, but where do you think this team, what's next?
No, it's definitely time. Ever since I've been here, like you said, we've been a team that's done well in the regular season. I think that's a standard here. We got to go win those games, and a big emphasis on the NFC North. And we've done a great job of that in the past. I think obviously last year was our worst year at that in the NFC North. So it starts there. It starts with going out there winning those games against the NFC North teams. But I think obviously building upon that, once you get to that postseason, that's the games that matter. So for us to take that next step, It's all about the work we're putting in every day, but I think just consistency. We've had a lot of games where we've had some high moments, we've had some low moments. So just trying to be as smooth as possible, as consistent as possible, and keep building, as the season goes on, and be at our best when that postseason rolls around, and obviously try and be the healthiest team as possible. But there's a lot of things. I think it starts with just taking it one day at a time. When the regular season gets here, taking it 1 week at a time. But obviously starting in the NFC North, handling the division. And once playoff games get here, putting everything into it, having that focus that, when these games get here, there's no second chances, there's no do-overs. Every play that, we haven't hit on in those playoff games before, we got to make those teams pay and be able to capitalize. So I think it just starts with that consistency. But we're definitely primed to take that next step. That's the focus and the goal that we talk about every day.
Jordan, wondering, as a fellow quarterback, what was your reaction when you saw the reports regarding the evidence of possible collusion against Lamar Jackson from a couple of years ago?
I've not even seen that at all. I have no idea about that. I haven't seen it.
Jordan, along the lines with Rob's question, Matt told us this morning that his message to you guys was like, everybody needs to be willing to put in the work. How do you, as you get into this day-to-day grind of training camp, what's the key to staying focused and making sure that kind of the day-to-day work doesn't kind of grind you down?
Yeah, I think it's always easy. First couple of days of training camp, first week, everybody, like I said, we got that excitement. I think it's when the season gets to those longer days, a little bit harder, and get in the middle of that grind. And we've been doing it so much that where you got to keep that focus, keep that same intensity as day one. It goes for everybody in the locker room. Guys that are, 2s, 3s on the depth chart that might not be getting the playing time they want, how do you keep that same focus, that mindset to try and get better and work on things on scout team? And because, you're always one play away and you never know when your number's going to be called. So how do you find ways to get yourself better and also get the team better? And just have that mindset that it's a long season, it's a grind. We got to have that same excitement as day one is when we get to week 17. So I think it's a personal thing, but I think the leaders of the team, that's the message we're going to keep driving and try and put in guys' minds that we got to have that same intensity, that same laser focus, keep trying to find ways to get better and not get lackadaisical as the season goes on. In that regard, what was the difference in the off-season approach by the team during the off-season activities and things like that, if there was any difference from previous years? That's a good question. I don't think there's been much difference. I think OTAs, you're limited in what you can do. The drills we can do on the field, the type of team activities with no pads on, things like that. But it's always just that mindset to try and get better each day. Take it serious. I think we've done a great job of just having guys here during OTAs and guys not missing out on those days, because I think every day is important. Every rep we get is important to keep building what we're building, and especially for new guys that are just stepping in and learning the offense, learning the system. But like I said, you're so limited in the off season. But I just think, like we said, keep preaching the message. The leaders, I think, are continuing to do a great job of just pushing guys, keep driving these messages home of why we're coming up short, the things we got to keep working on, the consistency, and just having that mindset that we got to get better each day.
Jordan, what was the reflection period like for you this offseason? What were kind of the things that your mind kept going back to?
Yeah, I think always is the biggest thing of consistency. I think, there's moments in games where, you have a play dialed up versus the perfect kind of defense that you wanted. And, sometimes you don't hit on those plays, whether it's just the footwork, missing a throw, maybe being a tick late on the read, just those little things that, kind of keep you up at night. Like, man, I wish I would have hit, that's an easy one. I wish I would have hit that. So just finding ways to hit those plays, whatever it is, being as consistent as possible and not having those moments of regret on plays are the biggest thing, my biggest mindset. Just understanding that every play is so important to the game, the larger outcome of the game, and we got to be able to hit, and we can't have any missed stops. So that's a big thing. I think for me personally, just continue to improve my playmaking ability, continue to find those instances when, defense might be winning, having everybody covered up to find ways to scramble, extend plays, use my legs, different instances, move in the pocket, and just keep extending plays. But I think the biggest thing is just that consistency, trying to hit on everything. Taking care of the ball is a huge part of that. Understanding where I need to go with the ball and not forcing it at times, forcing reads and just ball placement accuracy, but just being the best player I can be on every play.
The Vikings, the Bears, and the Lions all had a lot of change from coordinators, quarterback, all that. Except for Sean Mannion, who was here last year. You get your coaches back. You got your core on offense. That's got to help you. They all know what you want. Right? That's got to help you coming into this training camp.
Definitely. I think it's been, since I got here, we've kind of had the similar core of coaches, with obviously Matt being the head coach for this whole time, the offense staying the same. It's been very nice to have that, consistency in the offense and not trying to relearn things, and obviously relearn, new coaches all the time. So it's nice, but obviously, like you said, there's been some shakeups in the NFC North, so we'll see what's going on. But for us, just having that consistency, continue to build on the things we work on every year and not have to relearn new things has definitely been nice.
Following up on that, does it feel like it's run it back with this crew, or does it feel this is a fresh start, this is a different team?
No, I mean, it's always, you get new faces every year. I think every year is different. You never have the same team. You never have the same guys. And that mindset, you have to shift, Every year is different. Last year, there's things we did good, there's things we did bad, and it's always trying to improve. So I don't think you have that same mindset of run it back, because you can be stagnant. I'm trying to get better. I'm not trying to run back losing in the first round of the playoffs. So there's a lot of things that we're trying to improve on. Obviously, there's some new faces, and trying to get those guys up to speed. And I think they all got the right mindset. They're hungry, and they know what we're trying to do over here.